Welcome back to another episode of What Are You Made Of with your boy, the unstoppable Mike C-Roc. I'm in the house today with another great guest. Look, I keep just making them better and better and better. This gentleman I met on Clubhouse, met a lot of people recently over the last year, and I had to get him on the show because I hear him speak on Clubhouse, and I want to find out what he's made of. So Colin Drummond, also known as 10G Colin on we affectionately call him on Clubhouse, is a two-time Emmy-nominated Washington Bureau Chief of TMZ and founder of VRPP, a program that teaches influencers and entrepreneurs how to be their own media company using just their iPhone. Colin, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me, C-Roc, man. Just, always good hearing you and speaking with you, and now being able to, talk on your podcast and, be a part of the growth and all the things that you've been achieving. And I heard it's always good as well.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much. And, a lot of times we're on Clubhouse, we just see a picture, right? And hear a voice. And no animation. Now we get to see the animation, which is awesome.
Full circle.
Yeah. So listen, I want to first off stick with my tradition of asking the question, what are you made of?
Okay, that's good. What I'm made of I'm a product of my environment. I'm a product of my mom, who instilled, great qualities in me, in the sense of, I come from a non-traditional, growing up in a family where she was a single mom, worked 2 jobs, sent me through private school so I wouldn't get caught up in the neighborhood growing up in Brooklyn and, in the projects, low income, where it was, nothing but a gun-infested, drug-infested area. And, just going through school and being sucked into just growing up and being a part of your environment, and you seeing certain things that's, as a 10 and 11-year-old kid, that's not normal. And, I just strive to do, had a paper boy route, packed grocery bags in the supermarket, did all the things growing up that trying to, be an entrepreneur from, now that you're older and you look at those things, you see that, it's made you who you are today. So, I just made up of, a lot of those type of qualities of never quitting, being a person who values giving other people second chances and understanding, getting caught up, entangled with the law and understanding, second chances and what it really means and how do you overcome and how do you show people that when you walk the right path and you have the people behind you, that, you can succeed in a way where you're going to show other people that path can be accomplished. So I just feel like, I've been blessed. I've come from a good family, and now I'm made up a lot of those type of qualities, grit, just, that entrepreneur from, understanding, appreciating whatever you have and be able to see things ahead of it. And I think that's been one of my best qualities, is seeing things before it really takes off.
Yeah. So being, creating calls and futures. I love that, man. That's an attractive quality. And I focus on that a lot. That's why I'm so attractive, man. I'm a cause and creator of futures for myself and other people. And I love that. So Now, what part of Brooklyn was it? Near Bed-Stuy or?
Flatbush.
Okay.
Flatbush.
Okay.
So yeah. It's a mixture of all types of nationalities, and which is, that's what's helped me, to understand different types of personalities, religions, and, ethnic groups. So I think that was a good culture shock as well.
Yeah, I just watched a Netflix on Biggie. It was one of the ones that I think it was, I forget who it was, D-Roc or somebody. They actually took a camcorder around and were filming footage before they had phones, right? You see that? Right. So, and they were talking about like a couple things I wanted to ask you about. One was when you were trying to stay on the straight and narrow and go to the private school, and like your mom was like making sure that you tried not to get you sucked into the streets. Did you have people like hating on you and discouraging you and making fun of you for trying to stay that route?
Actually, no, in a way. I actually had people that wanted to, see me go on the right path, because I actually played basketball. So, they seen a path, and I was like real good going in the parks and, kind of going in, but it's just like, it's what you see around you. Sometimes, you can gravitate to your surroundings. So, the saying when everybody says, if, you hang around 4 people or 4 people are broke, you're going to be the 5th broke person. So it was like, when you see everybody, and then especially during, in the times when I was coming up, it was during, the 87, 88, crack epidemic. So, it is just a total different culture, than what society is now. And I think, it plays on the image of a 14, 15-year-old, 16 kid who feels like, okay, you're doing the right things in life and you want to go here and you want to go out. I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning just to deliver newspapers and messenger jobs. So, you see those things, but then you see other people fast tracking it. And so, it can be a like, okay, and it's different when you're growing up in a certain households, because I grew up in the same household and had two sisters with me. And one sister worked as a VP in Citibank, and another sister is a doctor. So, you wonder how kids can take certain messages and go in different directions. So it's different sometimes.
Yeah, I love that, man. And another thing that I had noticed on that Netflix special was that they would go to these events and all these people would be cheering for Biggie. And then the guys that in Junior Mafia, the guys that were with him, I forget which one it was, but he was like, "This is for Chris? Like, really? This is for Chris?" Like, did you get that at all when
the neighborhood guy,
Yeah. So when you started like having some success and things, did people feel like that? Because I get that myself. Like the people around me that I grew up with, they're like, that's Mike. Like, really? Like, that's just Mike. Like, yeah.
I get that now. I get some people call me like, they see me on TV on some show and they be like, "Wow, who is talking to you? How are you meeting these people?" And like, they really, So, but I think it's a good thing because it humbles you and keeps you, what I'm saying, in a good perspective of like who you are. And I feel like, I'm nobody, I've never been famous or anything like that. But in my neighborhood, I could feel like, I had a certain stature where you feel like, I don't know, certain people, like I've always liked to bring people up with me. And I think just like what I'm doing now and like trying to teach people, how do you get media attention and how do you, get onto TV shows and radio stations and blogs and, the shortcuts to it, because I feel like, when you come from a community where you don't learn these things at an early age, you're doomed when you're learning it at 30 and 40 and 50. And it's so, it's so mind blowing because you don't think at all, like, you're so far behind and you get to that mindset of where, well, it's useless for me to try to invest something in stocks. My little amount of money isn't going to do nothing. I should have learned this 30 years ago, when sometimes it's not even true. Even at any age, you can still be successful.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And I love what you said in the early on part of that right there is, bringing your people with you. And I write my goals down. Grant Cardone's taught me this. I mean, this is something that I'm a mentor of his and now business partner somehow. But I got this. I mean, you can see that every page is filled up, and I always write in there, take your homies with you, to never forget, no matter what I do, that if people are willing to encourage me and support me and stay with me and follow in my mission, and I don't want anybody mooching, but if they're going to do that, I'm taking them with me, and I love that, man. That's phenomenal.
What method I've always followed and I always thought was successful? I always looked at Wu-Tang Clan, right? And what they did, if you notice, what they did in the rap game was never done before at that time. So they looked at it as when one person is going to be successful, it's going to help the whole group, and they kept like, so one person is hot, we're going to feed off of his album and this next person comes on. So it kept them all relevant. And I feel like, I'm saying, in business right now, and just in life, when you bring other people up, that's the person that can introduce you to somebody else, or they can be further than you. And, you were the one that got them involved with everything, and they keep you involved. And I think each one teach one means so much now.
Yeah, and you bring the brains together, multiple brains together, the mastermind effect. I mean, forget about it. I love that. How did you get involved with media in the first place?
Wanting to do business, and I love for photography. And then it was a point where I was at the stage where I was doing some stuff for the New York Post and doing regular journalism, photography. Then I realized, like, at one point, where celebrity photos was tons of money, and I was just like, okay, so I'm doing this side, one of these guys up here just killing it. And I'm a person like, I'm not scared to ask somebody like, C-Roc, how much are you making over there? Like, what? Like, get away from me. You ain't gonna ask. I'm gonna ask the next person. So it was that, I'm saying, being acquiring. It's like, okay, hold on, I can do this too. And then I jumped into the, into that world, and it was lucrative, and it was a part where, you're getting, these photos, and I'm talking about, it was insane. You're talking about $100,000 photos. And sometimes it'd be not even the people you think. And like, even just getting stuff during Angelina and Brad's days, and you could get. But then I started realizing what was happening was, the money started changing, and that was because of, of course, everybody having cell phones now, and then with like Twitter and Instagram changed the whole game. So I started noticing what would happen if a person like, say, Rihanna take a photo, get her hair colored red or something, and then she comes out. I could get a regular photo of her and it'd be 50, 60 grand, easily sell, exclusive, whatever. So what would happen now, she was going in, she'll cut her hair off or do whatever, and then she'll put it on Twitter or Instagram. So what changed was the magazines and all the TV shows, they didn't have to buy it from you anymore. They could just snatch it off the Instagram page or the Twitter page. And so the sales, so when everybody still was doing photos, I was like, I noticed, because I'm an analytics guy. I watch numbers, and I started seeing the sales dropping, and I was wondering how, and so when I started doing video, and I realized that video was the next best thing, and how it was coming up, and how people were, shows were able to get it faster now. And it was it was a good movement for it. So I started, I jumped on that wave before everybody else realized, how the sales were going down, and then video was really the next big thing. And I just, kind of found my lane right up in there.
And do you remember the first time you realized that you could take a picture and make money? Like it had to eventually, somebody had to tell you, you had to see it. Yeah. Like, how did you remember that first time?
Yeah, just like, being in New York, and it was actually on a film set, and I saw like 10, you always see like in the, the LA scene where, a couple of paparazzi, and back then it wasn't so big, it was big. But then I started talking to a couple of dudes, and me, like I said, I'm a numbers guy. So I go straight for, I find a nice way of finding out how much you make in that industry and what you have to do to make it. And, and then the dude started telling me all these crazy numbers. I was like, damn, for real. So I started, doing my little homework and seeing it, how like the photo credits in the magazines, and then also finding out how you can shot, because most times you take the photos, boom, and then you have an agency you deal with, and your agency sells the photos, and they take. Okay. But I started realizing, that you can also get the whole percentage by going directly to the newspapers and the magazines once you build that relationship. So I was like, okay.
And what's the most you ever got for one picture?
Shoot, I made about 300,000 on Angelina photo in New Orleans.
I love it, man. I love it. Holy cow! So you went down there and took that, and how hard was it to get the picture?
Yeah, she was pregnant, and she was with the child, and it was like she was coming out, and then she like her bodyguards and them. See, the whole thing is, this is the misconception a lot of people get sometimes with paparazzi and media. Sometimes it works hand in hand. Sometimes when they want photos taken of them, when it's a situation to show them, they're getting ready to do a movie or stuff like that, they're all for it. But if a story breaks about them or something, and it's not in a flattering way or something like that, then they don't want to be bothered. Then because there's a lot of celebrities that are actually real nice and have a relationship with the media, and I was was real cool with them, and it was exclusive. They told me, come on, she's gonna give you the photos, just give her space, and she's gonna do it. And I was like, okay. And then as soon as I'm clicking, it's like when you're pressing money, and it's just like you just know. Yeah. But she's always been, I've worked on her a lot of times, and she's always been gracious.
Now, do you ever get in a situation like that money there, for example, or another situation where you say, look, let's get this picture done. I know they're going to pay me X amount. I'll give you a percentage, and they make money too?
No, I've never really dealt with that, but I've heard situations where some of them can, because they started realizing later on, their worth as well. And it's, it's good business.
Yeah.
And I think, that type of relationship is cool because, in any industry, it's just like right now we're in a creator's world. So if I look at them as a creator themselves as well. So everybody needs to be paid. This shouldn't be one-sided, and I'm a big advocate for that as well now. And, as an artist, artists with how NFTs are jumping right now, everybody's looking to get paid on both sides. And it's not one-sided.
Well, those pictures, and especially like that one, that was like an old time NFT. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you got, yeah. I mean, it's
Oh,
crazy how it
I
evolves.
have some classic ones. Like one of my favorites is actually Brad Pitt and Bill Clinton together, digging out and building a house in New Orleans. And the thing about it, and what's good about it, because it just shows, like, for what I do with dealing with politics and celebrities, that like picture speaks, volumes. Just both of them by themselves, together, and then that's the kind of world that I jumped into.
And then how did you get to TMZ? Was it through the pictures and all that, and then to becoming
Yeah,
the bureau chief?
TMZ, I watched early on what TMZ was doing, something different, and I loved what they were doing because they weren't doing the traditional run-of-the-mill acts. When the people come to do an interview and they ask them about their movie, and they had it where it was more engaging. It was more, down to earth. It was more like what type of coffee they have, and it was just a friendly, fun conversation interviews. Nothing where it was like, you pre-set up, like you get a publicist say, oh, you can only ask them this, you can't ask them that. It was no bar. And I said, wow, this is a new wave. And they were doing video at that time, and they were starting to become a leader from that space. And that, I just wanted to be part of the team, and and it was just there. And it also it was a time when I was like still living in the DC area, but traveling to New York and working and doing back and forth. And I realized that, if I can break, because then I'll be honest, this is when entrepreneurs weren't popular. It wasn't the big dogs like they are now,
Yeah.
and I can say I'm part responsible with that, in the sense of bringing, getting name recognition and bringing them out, and putting them, getting them on TMZ in different places, and they started growing as well. So it worked out, and I decided, like, I could come in DC, and I could create a nice hub down there of start building up politicians and celebrities that come there, and then create my own niche down there, and it's been real successful.
And so looking back, what is it that you're most proud of from your days, and whether it's TMZ or just taking pictures in general or whatever the case is? What's one thing that sticks out to you when I ask you that question that you're most proud of?
It's a good question, and I think for me, I think it's the relationships. I think I've been grateful to, like, not take advantage of people in a way where, like, if somebody's giving you something, you don't ask for more. You're appreciative, and I've just been, I've tried to be humble in that way. Sometimes where I might have really needed something, I might have really needed a favor, but I don't really just go out there and want to ask in a way where it's, taken away from, their time, or, things like that. And then, I've been happy because, successful things have come about afterwards, when people do recognize it, and, you get your flowers afterwards, and you see it, and you're being a trailblazer in the part. So I feel from that perspective, just being a trailblazer and understanding video and politics, and entwining it with celebrityism right away.
Yeah, there's a fine line there, because you
Yeah.
still want to ask for something because you only get what you ask for. But then where's that line where you kind of going across, and you know what I mean? Getting more than you're giving, I understand that. I appreciate that. So tell me about what you're doing now with VRPP. What does that stand for, by the way?
It's called VRP, and it's a
Oh, VERP. I'm sorry.
yeah, that's cool. It's VRP, and it's what it is basically video reporting, photography, and producing. And I think we're in a day and age where, to be a creator, you got to be able to do one of those things. You got to be able to understand it, because everybody's having their own way now, where you can create, whether it's I'm saying, whether you're an artist, whether you're a singer, just photography, whatever you do, like, there's a method to it. And I think the method is being able to get noticed and being able to gain attention. And I think, through my experience, the one thing I've learned a lot, in my industry, and, being a part with TMZ, is knowing how to attract attention the right way. And we've been at the, the forefront of, not just breaking big stories, but putting it in a way where everybody relates to it, and they understand
Yeah.
it. And,
Yeah.
and I think that's something that's, most people don't really understand. Like, if you look, right, even today, it was, a couple of people, they just sent me a tweet that Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she tweeted out. And she tweeted out and she said, one thing I could say, and people might not really get this, but the one news agency I do like who gets it right is TMZ. And they do it where everybody understands a story and they're not one-sided. And,
Right.
you know, this is something like I've built that relationship with her. And when I do, you know, I've like, you know, her and many other Republicans, Democrats, it doesn't matter. I treat them all the same and, you know, just let their balance and let their words resonate of how they put it out. So.
Yeah. And I love that. And I'm trying to be, so as I've grown up, you know, I'm trying to be what I would call radically open-minded.
Yeah.
You know, we all have our beliefs from when we grow up, but now what I'm trying to do is like have my beliefs, but then also anybody that disagrees with me, I say, wait a minute. I don't get in an argument. I go, wait a minute. And I started asking questions and say, okay, why do you believe that? Because I want to understand it because maybe I'm wrong. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, Colin, I'm more interested in being successful and helping people elevate around me than I am being right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I tell you, I've watched you, C-Roc, and listened to you, and I see you're always learning. And, you know, that's just what's gravitated to me with viewers coming on here and stuff like that. I've watched your growth and I've seen you're always asking a question and you're always wanting to, you know, saying, hook somebody up and what can you do for them? So you come out with that given perspective first instead of like, you know, hey, can you do this? Can you, you know, and that's something that's real good and really understanding and being in the middle of the road where you, one thing I've learned from one guy, I remember he told me, he was like, you know, like I remember I was arguing with somebody about sports or something. And he was just like, let me tell you something. One thing, when you're arguing with somebody, nobody can tell which one of y'all are the dumbest person because you both stupid arguing, whoever's right or wrong. So you don't have to. So anytime I catch myself about to, you know, even get into a debate on somebody on something like that. So if I'm going to argue with them, you know, somebody walks by, they can't tell who's the stupid person arguing. You know.
Well, there was a Jay-Z song, I think. I think Jay-Z said it in a song like that about seeing somebody over there arguing. You can't tell. Yeah, I remember that from shoot. Now I'll have to look it up now. Yeah, but I appreciate that though. And that means a lot because I really want to, I have one mission. All people are unstoppable to live in the life of their dreams. So what I do is I filter my thoughts, words, and actions through that. I filter the people that are around me in my environment through that. They have to be serving that mission because if they're not, it's going against it. And I have to handle that or they have to self-select out. And so it doesn't matter, Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter anything. It doesn't matter. All it goes towards that. And as long as we're going towards that, I'm good. And so, that's the way I operate. And I just think that if we could all figure out a way that we operate on a mission that serves prosperity for everybody, like just elevating people, man, we'll be all a lot better off. So Colin, what is your vision right now for the future? What are you most excited about coming up here in the future?
I'm excited about being part of a creator. You know, I think what I've learned from you know, saying just my time of growing up in a you know, a low income area, coming to a middle class, and you know, learning so much. Like I say, I've watched like my boss Harvey, like just his work ethic. You know, it's just something that you like just admire. So I've been, you know, looked at that and trying to apply some of all those things together, you know, coming up and, you know, what I can be able to give later on to my family and just be able to, you know, keep creating and then teaching people. Because I think now I'm serving in a sense where like I'm happy what I'm doing. I'm happy. The other day I just spoke with a young lady who was in foster care throughout her life, went to school, went to college, and came out, and then she wanted help with doing some other. And I asked her, what does she really like doing? And she said, one day I would like to go back and just, you know, teach young kids about you know, how they could come out of foster care and be successful. And I said, well, that's what you should concentrate on right now, because that's something you already love. Don't wait till later on to start doing it. So I feel like, you know, when I can inspire people from that perspective, that's going to be, you know, I feel, you know, real good. And of course, bringing my family to taking them to another level as well, and bringing them involved with what I do.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, look, how can my audience get in touch with you, engage with you, whether it's for VRP or whatever other questions they may have?
They can check me out on frontpage10g.com, and that's FRONT page, PAGE 10G.com. And that's something, been able to help people trying to get media attention and learn the different ways of, getting on early, man, and quick and seeing what's in store ahead of time. That's what I've been about.
Where did 10G come from?
10G, we're at a stage right now where it's 5G, it's just becoming the 5G. Like I said, I like to look ahead of things. And, the 10G is a symbol, and it's about branding too. If I'd have just been regular Colin, I could mix in with 100 and 1,000 and 10,000 Collins.
Yeah.
I'm a 10G, so I'm 10G Colin. And it's the same scenario, like they said, when Michael Jackson wore that one glove. We didn't know what that one glove meant, right? But it was a conversation starter.
Yeah. Yeah. So it relates to 5G. It's like, okay, I got it. I love it. I love it, man.
Yes.
Oh, I love it, man. Well, look, hey, thank you so much for joining me, man. I look forward to building a relationship with you and see what synergies there are out there for us. And if there's anything I can ever do for you, anything, I don't know what it would be. Just shoot out, DM, call me anytime, man.
I appreciate you having me, my guy, man.
Thank you, Colin. You guys have been listening to the What Are You Made Of podcast with your boy, the unstoppable Mike C-Roc. And of course, Colin qualifies to be in that club as well, the unstoppable 10G Colin. Keep coming back. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, be inexorable.